Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks so much for stopping by today. Today I'm creating a really fun, colorful card using some visible image stamps and stencils, and I am doing another butterfly card. I know I just did one, but I don't think I could ever get tired of butterflies. I'm using one of my favorite color combinations. I don't think there's a color that I don't like, but I really love this combination of yellow, orange, and pink, and so that's mainly what I'm going to be using. And the two stencils that I'm using are called Words of Support and Ripped Fishnet, and the stamp sets are called Wings of Change and Don't Judge, and those are visible image products. I'm going to go ahead and do a 6x6 card today, and so I am using a piece of Canson XL watercolor paper, and I am using gesso to seal that paper because I will be using some baby wipes on it, and I didn't want to disturb the fibers of the paper. So I'm using these Neocolor 2s. They are like really soft water-soluble crayons, and the difference between the Neocolors 2 and 1 is the Neocolor 1 are not water-soluble. This is a product that I purchased when I started card making because Vicky P had these, and I love Vicky P. She is awesome, and so I had to purchase them. They are a little bit pricey, so I don't use them often. I don't know why. They are a really fun product, probably similar to like the Tim Holtz crayons or something like that. You definitely don't need to do this part. You can just add the sprays, which is what I'm going to do next. But I wanted to get them out and just give them some use. And so I just went ahead and scrubbed them on the paper and then wet them and then moved them with a brush. And then I put a paper towel down to wipe up the excess. I also did use my heat tool to dry. And then I'm going to spray with several of the Distress sprays. And so the colors I'm using are Mustard Seed, Picked Raspberry, Carved Pumpkin, and Abandoned Coral. And so I just went ahead and sprayed those once on the paper. I did also spritz this with a little bit of water, and then I'm going to take my heat tool and dry and then blot up some of the excess puddles with a baby wipe. And then once I have completely dried this piece, I'm going to take that stencil that is called Words of Support. And this is where I'm going to grab the baby wipe, and this is the reason that I used gesso on my paper. If I had not used gesso, I'm afraid it probably would have disturbed the fibers because I'm basically going to take the baby wipe and rub through the stencil with a fair amount of pressure. And basically what I'm doing, I don't know if this is called ghosting or I don't know what this technique is called, but the baby wipe is semi-wet. I didn't want it super wet because that will, when I put pressure on the wipe, it's going to get that wetness underneath the stencil and blur the words even more. Basically what I'm doing is taking the baby wipe and rubbing the ink underneath it off so that you can see those words. And then I prepped this paper with a anti-static bag, and I'm going to take my VersaFine Nocturne and this zipper from the Don't Judge stamp set. I love this zipper. I just think it's so super cool. And then I'm going to cover that with some black embossing powder and heat that. And then I'm going to take a silver Posca pen just to add a little bit more detail. And then I'm going to move on to the Wings of Change, a stamp set, and I'm using the 2 sentiments, or I don't know if they're considered sentiments, but one says Metamorphosis and the other says Transform. And once I have stamped those in the VersaFine Nocturne, I'm going to go ahead and carefully remove the tape around the edges. And then I went ahead and used my Misties to stamp up the butterflies. I also stamped those up in the Nocturne, but this time I used some clear embossing powder. And then I'm going to take a white charcoal pencil and outline around those wings just to make the wings stand out a little bit. So I'm just outlining with the charcoal pencil, and then I'll take my finger and kind of smooth that out or blurry it up a little bit. And this is actually the second card that I made. I originally made this card and it was pretty much the same, except I added some lettering in stencil with a black Micron pen, and I didn't like it. It bothered me so much. And I tried to fix it by adding something on top of it, and that didn't work at all. So this was actually really fun to recreate this card a second time. So next I'm going to take some white titanium acrylic paint, and a water bottle. You can do this with the water bottle cap, but it's much easier to hold on to the water bottle than it is to hold on to the little cap or anything you have that has a circle. And basically I am just tapping that into the white paint and then stamping it onto my card panel. So basically I'm just creating a bunch of little circles, and then I'm going to use a little bit of that leftover acrylic paint to splatter. And it's not super white, so I do end up bringing in something else. The acrylic paint takes on the color of the background, and so I brought in this Zig, I think it's white. It's white opaque ink, and it turns out a little bit brighter white and doesn't take on the color so much of the background, and so I added some splatter in that. And then I also took that same ink and added it inside of those little circles and then just smudged it a little bit with that a baby white. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of the circles. And then I'm taking a cap for a pen to make some smaller circles, and I'm just going to do several of those throughout the card, again just dipping them in the ink and then stamping on my panel. And then I'm taking a size 03 black Micron pen and circling some of those little white ink splatters. I just really love the way that that looks. And then I added the zipper, which has a piece of foam on the back of it, and I added that to that center butterfly. And then a few of the sentiments from the Don't Judge stamp set I stamped out on white paper and distressed those a little bit with some tea dye distress ink and adhered those to the panel. And then I'm taking a 6x6 card base and adhered that using my tape runner, and that pretty much finishes us off. And I'm super happy with the way that the second card turned out. I actually like it a little bit better than the first. I didn't trash the first card that I messed up on though. I kept it and I will probably send it out. But that is it for me today. I absolutely love these products from Visible Image. They just really speak to me and I love working with them. And so I hope you enjoy these videos as well. If you did like this video or find it informative, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I read all of the comments. I love to hear from you. So if you've got something to say, please go ahead and feel free to leave it below. And as always, thanks so much for stopping by and spending some time with me today, and I hope to see you soon.